And you still need that tactical. You still need that real world stuff to learn. It's
Yep.
one thing to have access to, but you need the educator and you need to be able to work with each individual student and their uniqueness to teach. And AI is not going to be able to get you to that point. And the concepts and everything else is needed with human.
If AI feels overwhelming, you're not behind. You're just busy running a business. New tools pop up every week and no one has time to figure out what actually works. At LionEdge AI, we take AI off your plate so you can focus on running your business. We review your setup, choose the right tools, and run AI systems across sales, customer support, and operations. No noise, no learning curve. LionEdge AI, your unfair advantage in the AI era.
Gary Nickol is a self-described builder at heart with 30 years across executive search, sales, and ed tech. But his real mission is simple, giving teachers their time back by automating classroom bulletin board. Gary helps educators focus on what matters most, student outcome. As he says, if we can give them their time back, the possibilities are endless. Expect a conversation that is personal, playful, and quietly game-changing. Hello, welcome back. Hey, Gary, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good to see you back. Gary and
Yes.
I had a little chat before, and I can't wait for this episode today. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to learn a little bit about behind the scenes of the teachers and, the stuff that we as a parents or anyone who has any relation with school is aware of, but we've never seen the behind the scenes, and we are not aware of what the teachers has to do to provide the service that they do. And we have an expert today, Gary, because Gary is the guy behind the scenes that helps those teachers to provide better services, better products, better content. With that, hey, Gary, hi again. Please introduce yourself and the company.
Sure, Eli. Thank you very much. And again, same here. Pleasure to be back and speaking again. So I'm Gary Nickol. I'm the founder of Perfect School Tools. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a background on us and me, I've spent really a little over the last decade in and around schools, right? Inside of classrooms, inside of the schools, talking with the teachers, staff, administrators, and over that time, really giving myself the ability to listen to the challenges that they all face. And anybody that even turns on the news any given point or whatever, they know that there are a lot of challenges that our school face. In all my capacities over the past, we've been able to identify, help, and move them forward, I guess is a way to put it. But what's really stood out to me over these years is there are a lot of solutions that are out there for students, as there should be, right? I mean, as Whitney says it perfect, right? Children are the future. So I will also say, though, that what gets left behind in all of this equation are the educators and the school staff, right? A lot of times we're bringing in new technology, new content, new items that add to complexity for the school, right? And they're all geared towards students, but they get pushed down to a point where there's so much that the adaptation inside of the school is very low. So what I've realized is that really we don't need more complexity. We don't need more complexity in the schools. We need to support the educators, the school staff that's there. And instead of really looking at this from a standpoint of complexity, they need care, they need service, they need to be taking care of themselves. They need to eliminate a lot of the complexity so that they could do what they're meant to do. And that is, to improve the student outcomes. So really Perfect School Tools was born out of this.
Wow.
We taking what I myself have learned and the other folks that are with me have learned over this time and saying, okay, how can we serve those who serve our students better? How can we remove a lot of the complexity, make their lives easier, reduce stress, and really, in addition to that, save them time, They can't get enough of that back, right? And then ultimately for the schools, we know they're working off of a limited budget. We want to find ways that we can save them money with a high adoption of solutions that everybody's bought into that ultimately still benefit the students, but again, with the adults in mind, if you will, as well. And that's kind of the birth of what we've how the reason why we started Perfect School Tools.
I this is great because I always like, there's different kinds how people start businesses, right?
Hmm.
Someone wake up with the idea one morning and but or someone has the personal problem that he want to solve for himself. In your case, from what you just described, you were involved, and maybe I missed that. How did you know what's going on in the school? What role do you have there?
Sure. First and foremost, I was never an educator, right? I was just been in this space for a long time in a number of different capacities, from sales leadership, even like a chief operating type of capacity, which has kind of given me exposure to really all the layers of challenges that they face. And I would say that the biggest thing that's happened over the last decade is I've developed a true passion for them and their plight and their challenges. Uh, and all of it was based off of personal relationships that I've made over that time. And, again, I wanted to create something that takes care of that pinpointed pain that they're experiencing. Teachers are overworked, they're underpaid. I don't think I'm shocking anybody by saying that. But on average, a teacher spends anywhere between eight to $900 out of their own pocket every single year. We want to eliminate that. Go
This
ahead.
is I learned this fact from you last time when we chatted,
Yeah.
and I think this is an amazing fact that I'm not sure our audience even aware of that. And thank you for exposing that. Uh, when I told it to my friends, they couldn't believe it. As you
Mhm.
mentioned, teachers spend on average, let's just say $800 a year out of their own pocket to provide better content for their students, which is amazing. And that's where you comes in, part of it, right? I mean, there's other sources, which is it's brilliant. And also, I'm thinking about it. You heard the pain, you heard
Mhm.
what they need. They knew how to explain what they're challenging with, but they couldn't think of there might be a solution. Right? They know what they're
Yeah.
going through. And
Yeah.
then where you come in, that's why I like your business so much. The idea of how it became is that, oh, why can't I solve this for them? Right.
Mhm.
And yeah, so
Mhm.
yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, to your point earlier too about how people wake up with passions. I always look at education as this is a calling. Like some other professions out there, like nursing and public service, things of that nature. This is definitely a calling that they're involved with in getting into education. And for me, that really just stuck with me. And it's like, to your point, how they have these challenges, right? But there's a gap. There's a gap in the solve of it, and right now, the answer is add more tech, add more solutions, and it's overwhelming. And I think that the adoption on a lot of these programs are low, not because they don't care. We know they're in this role because they do care. It's just that it's just too much. So even though we offer technology, we offer content, we offer solutions, everything that we do at Perfect School Tools is really about still minimizing, removing that noise and making life simpler by giving that time back. So
Absolutely.
it's we're
No,
coming from the same angle, right? We're still offering, but it is a way to simplify instead of add on.
no, absolutely. This is beautiful. You mentioned two words that caught my attention: adapt and adopt, right? So, and the reason why it caught my attention is, this podcast is also about AI. It's the combination of AI and businesses. And we all know that ever since ChatGPT came to our life, right? The world has changed, like literally has changed. And the schools also. So when we say they need to adapt, right?
Mhm.
Their content, now that kids, almost at any age, has access through their phones or laptop or whatever to an a huge right source of information that also can be provided to them as the teacher could, right? Because they can go on ChatGPT and ask questions. It definitely forces those schools to adapt. And then
Mm-hmm.
in order to adapt, they need to adopt new content. And I think also when you and I chatted before, so they're already overwhelmed to begin with. Now they
Mm-hmm.
need to challenge with, oh, I have this AI that I don't know where it's taking me and the schools and the system is too slow to respond. And this is where I think your kind of services comes in to help and support.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And when I look at it, right, I kind of look at the same way that we're utilizing AI. You know, we're extremely conscious of how we implement AI, and we kind of want to put that through the filter of how do we want to serve? We want to serve human first, right? That's where we're going to be in a position to really, take care of each individual school's unique challenges. Equate that to a student. They're all going to have their own unique challenges or ways of learning. And what that does then is it kind of separates the two out, right? We want to utilize AI because there's no way of going backwards. We're not putting this genie back in a bottle, right? So we
Exactly. I
we
like
want to
that.
make
I
sure
like
that
that.
we utilize it so that we're in a point to make lives easier, right? But at the same time, we want to make sure that the human connection is there because that's the unique aspect of things that really helps to serve. And it's the same thing with the students, right? They're going to have access to all of it, but access and learning are two totally different things. And that's where all of our solutions come from. I mean, this is physical product that we're able to bring to light because it helps to support visual learning, which is critical to the actual absorption of the information. And you still need that tactical, you still need that real world stuff to learn. It's
Yep.
one thing to have access to, but you need the educator and you need to be able to work with each individual student and their uniqueness to teach. And AI is not going to be able to get you to that point. And the concepts and everything else is needed with human. And that's the same way we look at our business, right? We're going to utilize AI for every aspect of making their lives easier, right? If there's FAQs, if there's any information that they need for the basics, this gives us the opportunity to get it to them quicker, right? That's serving them, but at the same time, that allows us to focus on all of the human aspects of relationship with them, because that's going to be the only way that we truly know what they need instead of us just saying, oh yeah, AI tells us you need this. No, we need to still have those conversations and identifying what each educator, school staff, each school needs particularly, and then we serve them that way.
This is this is great. There's few things that you mentioned that also caught my attention is one, if I'm not mistaken, you're providing both digital and printing material, right? Which is a great example of how an idea that starts in mind go through the process of you working with AI to fine tune it, production, and then eventually when you have the final product that you're happy with, and AI help you with it because right. Yeah, I mean, today, in fact, it's expected from you to use AI. It's not because you can do things faster, you can get more ideas, you might be more
Mhm.
creative, it might give you ideas right? And then it goes to printing. So then the end result, what started in your mind, it went through AI, and then eventually it's being preserved and consumed by the user, by the students, right? The kids
Mhm.
with a true printing or whatever, which is beautiful. Another thing that I was wondering, you mentioned something very interesting about that AI is not the end all be all. It's
Mhm.
a supplement. And that reminds me another analogy, I would say. And this is where I think, we're talking about schools and maybe what the school needs to adopt and adapt. And this is AI is a great tool if you know how to use it.
Yeah.
You need to know to ask the question. I'm sorry. So um, um, the school when they work with the kids and the material that you provide them,
Hmm.
help the kids to even know what they can ask, how can they use it, right? And then it opens up a whole world for them. But if you don't know how to write the prompt right and how to ask it, and then the other question is how to qualify that the results are good, which you also do. You get the result from AI. I'm sure that you not just send it to the
Hmm.
printing right away. You have your review and audit, and then the production, which is a beautiful use of AI.
Yeah. And, it kind of ties into exactly how our solutions work, right? I'll give you an example. One of our main solutions is our awards and cut system that we sell to schools, right? And what it does, it's a simplistic piece of technology in the sense that it's able to print and do precision die cuts of anything that you need. So again, going back to the example of bulletin boards, um, on average, right now, an elementary school teacher has to refresh their bulletin board every, let's say, 4 weeks on average, right? And what that takes is anywhere between 6 to 8 hours of time to come up with the ideation of it, to get the materials they need. They might be able to create some of these at the school, but usually they have to go to Dollar General, get borders. And now it's taking 2-3 days to get that done across 6-8 hours. And that's every month. Where our system uses that simplistic ability to not only have to use staplers and scissors because it does a cut and it's on a sticky back. So that part's done. But then where we're able to bring AI into all of this is because we create all the content for it. And we have all of the general ideas, but schools have to work inside of a system, whether we like it or not. You can fight the system from the inside or the outside. We happen to be on the outside. And they have to make sure that everything that they're communicating is up to their state standards and follow those state standard guidelines. Where it's really helping is we're able to put it through that filter on the back end, right? Making sure that whatever we're creating is aligned to that state standard or natural, or whatever standard they need to use so that what they put up is trusted. That time has been cut. I mean, now instead of 6 to 8 hours to create these bulletin boards, they're able to do it in 45 minutes. But
Wow.
it's a combination of what I've always referred to as analog and digital, right? Digital now being AI as well. But at the
Correct.
end, we're taking it all, bringing it in to save each one of those teachers 6-7 hours a month. Now, what can they all do with that? Times it by 30 teachers, you know? Um,
Absolutely.
and that's how we find that marriage of AI versus the human touch and continuously getting the feedback from them. What else? What else would serve them better?
Beautiful. We mentioned using AI, and I always mention that there is when I talk with leaders from the industry, from the education space, like you, there are two aspects of using. The one that you just described very beautiful in the past 10 minutes is how you use it to provide better services for your client, and they take it from there. There is then another aspect of the behind the scenes, the back office of running a business, that we can also use AI. um what so you are my first guest that I'm going to start a new section in this podcast, that I call it the questionnaire. And
Okay.
I have yeah um and the idea is that we can brainstorm together, or you can share your thoughts, whether you're doing it today or in the future, of how you implement and how it helps you in your business. So, first question: if you had a magic wand,
Hmm.
right, where you could fix whatever prevent you today from growing, or from expedite your process, or the thing that challenge you the most, what would you do with it?
Great question. It's a great question. Well, I always my take is I don't believe AI is here to replace jobs, right? So AI is here to restore time and presence. So anything that we're putting it through is really through that filter of restoring time and presence, shifting. So really, from a back end perspective, I'm always looking at this is the simplistic bots, FAQs, processes, SOPs, ways that it can help to tighten up those because sometimes, especially as a founder, you're kind of you're making all of these in a vacuum. So this is like a board of advisors that you have that you're able to bounce this through and simplify. So I like that. And then on the other end, what it does for me in terms of restoring that time and presence is it gives us that time that we were spending on those activities, if you will, that we no longer have to, that we're going into more schools. We're able to have more conversations and develop those relationships and improve our value, which again, that's the flywheel. Then we take all of that, we bring it back to AI and have that assist us with making it the most effective and efficient way. That's the cycle I would say.
No, brilliant. I'm thinking to myself, you are taking care for the teachers and you free up their time. Who's taking care of you, Gary? You
AI.
also exactly.
AI. Yeah.
There is some sense
Yep.
of truth in that.
With the caring staff. I have a very caring staff that is just as empathetic to schools as I am. So yes, but it allows for them to also use their empathy with the schools directly. AI
And,
supporting all of us.
and what I like about it, it's how it fit each other. And you mentioned it, you call it the flywheel, but if you so you have more time, you can
Mhm.
use this time now to expose more needs and see what else can I do to help you. And then
Mhm.
it's a win-win because you provide them more things that they don't even know to define that they need. And
Yes.
then you expand your business as well. I mean, we all about, right? So this is all fantastic. All right. Next question. Um, if you look 12 months ahead and everything run, as you wish, right? How would you measure the success? Looking, retrospective, 12 months from now. I hope I didn't say years, I meant month, right? So 12 months from now, right? When you look back, what metrics do you use to measure this was a successful year?
That's a good question. I mean, ultimately, if I'm looking at it from like a KPI metric perspective, I am, how many customers are coming back? I think that's the most important metric
Retention,
there.
I mean, yeah.
Retention, now obviously you can get below the surface on that on why and why not, and that would allow for you to, but that tells us we're at least on course of serving and we're continuously serving them and we're providing value that they want to come back for. So that's for me one of the most important things. We're very intentional on who we work with as well because it's a two-way street, right? There are going to be some schools that are buttoned up. They don't need us. I get it. That's fine. That's great. When you do, we're there for you. So, we want to just make sure that we're growing in that regard in terms of serving these schools that need it. One of the challenges as a small business is you have this great solve, but you just can't get it out to as many people as fast as you would like. Marketing budgets, etc., all that fun stuff. But um, I just want to be in a position where we can evangelize to all the schools to show how we can solve pains and these gaps that they're experiencing right now. So if we're doing that and they're coming back because we are solving it for them, that's the most important. And then the secondary of that is it's a full circle, right? So anything that we're hearing from the marketplace, from any of these schools, educators, the staff that are feeling the pains, if there are other pain points that they're experiencing that we could solve, another 12-month goal would be that we're in a position to be able to take care of that pain for them as well.
Gary, you're a lucky guy. You know why?
Hmm.
You get to make a living from doing good in the world. And this
They're
is
the
the
right
best
people to
thing
serve. Yeah.
anyone can wish for themselves, right? I respect any kind of job. But when you have this combination that you can see the impact of your service in your eyes, and it's a good thing that you can, like, it's very not complicated to understand and see. This is the best, I think. Lucky
It,
guy. All right.
it's a market that deserves to be served.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And another thing that I really like about it, and I felt very attached, when you and I chatted before, is because we all been there as students, and now I'm as
Absolutely.
a parent, right?
Yeah.
We've been there. We've seen both sides. We know how hard they work. We know the
Mhm.
fruits of what they. I'll share with you a quick little story. I remember I was in first grade. I remember my teacher from we had the same teacher on first, second, and third grade, right? She I met with with my class, 40 years after, right? And we all and with the teacher, and we all told her, you have an impact of our life, at this age, that we all think about you almost every week. Something makes us think about you because the things we learned from you. And she was we were blessed to have a teacher that was almost like a mom.
Yeah.
So now that there's that, but then there's another thing. I remember she taught us something in math, whatever, and she uses a poster, the same thing that you do. And
It sticks with you. Visual learning is important.
yes, and it was about, multiplication, and until today,
Yeah.
whenever I need to, it's multiple by 9. She taught us the secret.
Multiplication chart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
multiplication
Yep.
chart, and when it's the ninth, there is a special format. There is a special trick
Yeah.
that you can do quickly. And she had
I know the 9-1 from my first grade teacher. Yes, exactly.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 6.
All equal
So
9.
yes, yeah, no, yeah, exactly. So um, this poster
Yeah.
is in my mind
Yes.
for as I won't reveal my age, but as long as I live, right? And guess what? Someone like you, or in my days, it was her, created this. So
Absolutely.
we sometimes don't understand the impact
Mhm.
of our actions on someone else's life for years, which is, I think, amazing in
Absolutely.
my mind.
And
All
that's why
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
real
Yeah.
quick
Go ahead.
too, I just wanted it's not
Yeah.
necessarily a plug, but it's just something that we believe in. So all of that, including that multiplication chart that you're talking about, we give the schools free resources to those. So we have digital resources for all of these posters. No purchase necessary. We don't want you to have to create it. So here it is. Here's a digital format. Print it out however you want. Because again, it's just all about just giving them that time back so that they could serve their students the way that you were served without the stress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Next question. So you mentioned several challenges that you had to go through, like anyone, any business owner, in your business. Maybe you can choose one or two and try to uh, quantify it in terms of cost. Like, how can you even say, this thing, if I could solve, would reduce X amount of dollars or will save me whatever, right? Can you think of examples like that?
It's a good question. I think for us, we're bootstrapped. We're just doing what we can. So that scalability is slower than you would like. And that is definitely one of the things where AI is helping some, right? But we have to get deeper into it to really allow for us to hire and bring more people so that we can evangelize our solutions. Um, at a greater scale to help serve. I think that's one. But listen, step by step, brick by brick, we get there. The other one too is again, as I mentioned earlier, you're either in the system in education fighting it, or you're on the outside fighting it. And some of the challenges that we face is that there are a number of schools that they love what we have to offer, but there's the bureaucracy that you got to deal with where you have to become an approved vendor for that particular district first. And then whoever's hands it ends up in, it slows down the process. And again, they're overworked. So it's a challenge for that school to stay on top of it, right? And to get us there. So there is some of that bureaucracy that, hey, it is what it is. We gotta do what we gotta do. But that is one thing that is a little bit of a challenge as well.
Got you, got you. Which is probably translate into time, and time translate into money, and, and then we can do the math. All right, perfect. All right. Next thing, we're talking about adopting AI, right?
Mhm.
And when you look back at in y- at from the time that you started, from the inception of starting the business, that you had to integrate or adopt new technology, what was
Mhm.
the process was for you on that?
The purpose for it, for each one of those adoptions.
The process of how to, whether it was, I don't know, I mean, AI is most likely one of them, but it could be also, I don't know, new printing machine or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, so it's interesting too because yeah, it's a little bit of both, right? On the one side, being in this space for the last decade and a half, there's relationships that you kind of work through and like, oh, I remember them. We're going to want to make them as a part of what we're offering, or even if it is, what you're building your website on, things of that nature, right? So there is some of that, but yeah, I mean, the fact that we've been around for not even a year yet from the inception, we utilized a lot of AI in the creation and the identification of technologies to bring in and what not to bring in, right? So it has been a little bit of a combination, but now we're at that point too. Even if it is something established based off of years past, we're putting it through the filter of AI. Say, all right, well, what else is there? So it's helping us with the decision making as well.
Very good. All right. Last question, and
Mhm.
we almost at the top of our episode for this time. I have a feeling everything we might need to meet again and add another one because there's so much to discuss. Okay. In your business that rely a lot on the interpersonal communication and the relationship, right? Because we are dealing with something, with content for kids. This is the whole matter is something that is also very communication related. And what is I'm wondering, in your business, what is your preferred way to find new clients, right? I mean, your market share is big. I mean, it's definitely it can be any school in America, right?
Yeah,
Not to mention abroad, but for now, let's stay in America.
we'll stick here for now. Yeah,
Yeah. We have enough.
we got
So,
time.
what's your preferred way to expose yourself and find, new clients?
There's a few different things, right? I mean, one I always shotgun and a rifle, right? And maybe not the best terms. It's maybe not weapons, but yeah, either spray or it's a direct shot,
Or a
right? So
laser
yeah.
focus, right?
so
Right.
so we're always looking at it from every angle because that is a challenge. One of the challenges is that we know that every single day there are schools that are just being underserved. So what we do is we also like to look at schools that are Title One schools. So if for any of the listeners that aren't familiar with what Title One schools are, Title One schools are schools that they are based off of the amount of students that have reduced or free lunches. So the funding there is supplemented through federal Title One funds. We do like to work with a number of Title One funds because all of our solutions are qualified for Title One funds. And again, when we're serving this market, that's a market in particular that is underserved. Typically, they don't have as strong of a PTA PTO to kind of offset some of the spend. And we want to make sure that each one of their dollars stretches all the way. So we do a lot of work, particular with identifying and reaching out to Title One schools, and putting our solution in front of them so that we can have even more of an impact than we would traditionally.
Very good. Very good. That's beautiful. Gary, this was a pleasure. I
Same.
learned a lot. I even appreciate more that you do now than even, from before. Um, Keep helping our system provide fresh and new and content and better content, because our system needs to catch up fast on what's going on. And companies like you and what you guys are doing definitely helping those big massive system that progress very slow, as we know, to catch up, and get our young generation and get them ready, for what's coming. And we all know, with this AI era now, what we know is that we don't know what's coming. We know there's going to be a change. How it's going to
Absolutely.
look
And
like,
quicker.
yeah, nobody yet understand the impact of exactly how our life is going to look like 5 years, 10 years from now. So absolutely, thank you for that. It was a pleasure, and hope to see you again.
It's a pleasure as well. Thank you.
If AI feels overwhelming, you're not behind. You're just busy running a business. New tools pop up every week, and no one has time to figure out what actually works. At LionEdge AI, we take AI off your plate so you can focus on running your business. We review your setup, choose the right tools, and run AI systems across sales, customer support, and operations. No noise, no learning curve. LionEdge AI, your unfair advantage in the AI era.